Hello, everyone. This is Zami Eccles-Irwin from FilmFestivalCircuit.com and the director of the Portland Comedy Film Festival. Right now, we're getting ready for our Winter 2026 event, which is going to take
Mhm.
place on February 1st at the beautiful historic Clinton Street Theater in Portland, Oregon. And in preparation for this event, we are talking with some of our participating filmmakers and screenwriters.
Mhm.
So today we have with us Steve Roth, who's the screenwriter behind Sleepover Crashers. Steve, thank you so much for being with me, man.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So this is a really energetic, funny, lively, distinct screenplay. And I want to ask you, man, what was the inspiration behind it?
What inspired me to write this screenplay was I noticed that a lot of family films can tend to be a little bit boring for kids. They have tentpole things that are going throughout, but it kind of goes highs and lows. Some of the kids are lacking, it can sometimes lack the intense, fast pace storyline that the kids like. And that was my goal. Also, I wanted to write it on two levels, writing it for kids, but also adults. So family can go either to the theater or stream it at home. And I think I accomplished that pretty well.
Very nice. Okay, so there's kind of two levels of story, two levels of humor. There's the bombastic, constant slapstick and energy that kids can totally latch onto, but then there's some jokes and some themes and innuendos that maybe are a little bit more entertaining for the adult viewers.
Yeah, that's a lot of things that'll go over younger kids' heads, but
Okay.
teenagers will probably get it, definitely.
Totally. I love that. There's plenty of times in recent memory where I'm looking back at stuff that I've seen as a kid and am getting jokes that, completely went over my head. It's such a fun feeling. So tell me a little bit about just the sort of the fast pace, avoiding those, I don't know, maybe a temple morality moments or slow kind of, plot building things. From the very beginning, we have a jailbreak, a car chase, and just this intense, maybe almost cartoon logic. What was the thought behind that? What inspired you, and what is it like to write with such frenetic energy?
Um, I that's kind of my style. First of all, I'm a comedy writer. I came out of television, I worked with on Nickelodeon. I worked
Okay.
on Nickelodeon's first live action show, Hey Dude. Um, and yeah, it's just like I like to move things along, keep it going, and just really not have too many lulls. Although you have to be real careful in that because you can overwhelm the audience. And you'll find this kind of interesting that when I got notes back on this from the festival, one reviewer in particular made a real good note that made me stop and think and said that, I had two chases going on at the same time, or two action scenes that were
Okay. Yeah.
and the reviewer thought it was a little bit overwhelming, So
Totally.
I believe that writing is rewriting, and so whenever I get good notes, I really take them seriously. Went back, went through the script, and thought, this reviewer really had a good point here, and that led me to doing a rewrite of the version that I originally sent into the film festival, and I actually trimmed about 5 to 6 pages out of the script
Oh
because
wow. Okay.
as I went back, I'm also finding some other dialogue heavy little sections, and so I think the script now at 102 pages is really pretty sharp.
Interesting. Well, I think that's a great kind of reflexive approach to making it work. I mean, what is that process like to excise big portions? I mean, it's got to be a little bit difficult to, cut out multiple pages that you worked hard on.
Yeah, it's one of those things is you can't get married, you know, to all the dialogue and all the scenes.
Right.
You really have to step back and look at it objectively. Is this in the best interest of the storyline and for the viewers or readers of it? But yeah, it hurts sometimes, especially if you're in the comedy area where you have some good jokes or good set
Right.
pieces, and you think, well, I really did like that, but yeah, once again, you can't get married to it.
Totally. Well, yeah, the saying goes, your favorite scene you shot in a movie, whatever's the best scene, if it doesn't match with the whole entirety of it, you got to take it out. It's not worth it, even if it's great.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me a little bit about writing these characters. They're not quite stereotypes, but they're these strong archetypes that
Mhm.
are, pushing the action forward. You also you're writing children. What is that like? Is it hard to embody this? These extreme characters.
No, I think it's when I lay out the characters, even before I really flesh out the story, I start with the characters and I look at each one of them and develop them. And I always want to make sure that they have a good story arc. You'll notice in this screenplay that almost all the characters do arc and change and grow. And I'll figure out per character where they're starting at the beginning of the screenplay and where they're going to be ending up on the end. As you saw in the finale at the end,
Totally.
it really kind of ties everybody together with the journey that they took. And in this case, the journey was, pretty much a day or two.
Right. Well, that's got to be sort of difficult to maneuver both these kind of overarching character developments with the constant pace. What
Mhm.
is your? Do you have a sort of a formula or a theory of beats for slapstick versus jokes versus plot progression, or does it just sort of come naturally
I
as
think,
you
yeah,
express the
I'll spend probably about 10 weeks, 10, 12 weeks actually writing a screenplay. And the first, gosh, two-thirds of that is really developing the characters, getting them down so you know who they are, beating out the story, act one, act two, act three,
right?
inciting incident, turning points, things like that. And then kind of getting the roadmap. But when I write, I don't make the roadmap too detailed. I want it detailed enough so I know where I'm going. But then the last part, when you're actually rolling up your sleeves and doing the writing, that's the real fun part. And you tend to get some real fun discoveries. You weren't planning on something happening when you're writing a scene, but it can just kind of come to be. And that's where the real fun is.
Okay. Oh, so I love that. So you're etching out the sort of the acts and the plot and everything, and then you can kind of go in and play around with interchanges, dialogue, jokes, and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think, anyone who thinks that, I got an idea for a movie, I'm gonna sit down and start with page one and
Right.
I've got a good character or two, and let's just see where it goes. And of course, it's going to go all over the place. And it's like,
Right.
also when you have a good roadmap, you're not wasting writing. You know where you're going,
Right.
and if it's beated out correctly and the story works, then yeah, it should give you a good first draft. And at that point, then you start doing a second draft and third
Totally.
draft.
Well, I think that's great advice, especially for people who want to write screenplays and just feel completely lost. Where do I go from page one? I think a lot of people start there, but getting
Yeah,
the full picture is super important.
exactly. And when you're rolling it out there for agents or managers or studio execs or producers, they know structure. It's okay to mess with the structure a little bit, but in general, most movies have a similar structure, and that goes way, way back in the early movies,
Totally.
good stories, because it works.
Absolutely. Um, when I read this, I had just this strong sort of aesthetic and visual,
Mhm.
feel with this. I was getting 90s sort of these like live action, but almost cartoonish, like Problem Child, which I love.
Mhm.
I mean, it's sort of in that vein where I could picture bright colors. I could picture kind of maybe some wonky camera angles. Do you have an aesthetic sense when you're writing this? Do you have the picture in your head, what you imagine it's going to be?
Absolutely. That's a fun part about writing. As I mentioned, when you get into actually writing it, you almost kind of go into this trance,
Okay.
where you're actually working and writing, and it's actually playing out in your head in front of you with the visuals. Luckily, I think it's important for writers to be quick typists, so
Mm,
you can capture stuff as it,
as soon as something comes.
exactly.
Okay.
And using like Final Draft, which I use, is just an awesome program. Just it makes it easy and quick, to be able to write. But yeah,
Totally.
back to your question. Yeah, it does really actually play out like a movie in your head. Um, and as you'll notice in there, even though I have a fair amount of description in there, I always try to keep it as minimal as possible. I really don't include stage direction or camera angles, things like that,
Right.
unless they're necessary. Yeah.
Okay, totally. But I had such a strong visual picture from this because I feel like you're describing action and you're
Yeah.
describing, I don't know, there's probably more descriptions than I'm remembering than you actually have because what you give fills out the rest, in your brain to paint that picture. Um, well, tell me a little bit of something. You're a career writer.
Hmm.
Did you learn anything from this process specifically?
Um, well, from this one, every script is different. Yeah. And yeah, this one I think was the fast pace and really learning, as I was talking about that, the notes I got on that about being able to keep it fun and moving forward, but just not out of control. And so I think that was my big learning on this, leading to that rewrite that I was talking about.
Okay, totally. Well, that's a great takeaway. I mean, you already have such a skilled approach to this. So just honing, finding, finessing these little ideas
Hmm.
about tension. I mean, I do like the idea of two chases, though.
Oh, good.
We have the chase and static, the two
Yeah.
chase. I think that's work on that. Maybe that maybe next screenplay will make that happen.
Yeah.
Well, so are there any plans to get this made? Is this going to be a cartoon, live action, or any other things in the works for you?
Well, right now, what I'm focusing on, I have a couple of screenplays under my belt now. One I completed before this, Eat a Camel, actually won Best Rom-Com at the Austin Comedy Film
Okay,
Festival
right on.
months back. And actually, when you talk about rewriting, it was a solid script, but I then went ahead and put it into the blacklist and got a really good, long, detailed evaluation of that, which led me to do a rewrite on it and change it from a rom-com really to a buddy comedy movie. It's actually a bit of a
Oh,
hybrid, but I
interesting.
shifted it more towards a buddy movie. So yeah, I finished that, got this one going, kind of developing early stages on two other comedy screenplays.
Right on. Okay, so you're just really in a writing kick right now. You're taking feedback. You're really throwing words on
Mhm.
pages and honing that.
Yeah, and at this stage also, years back, I was with with an agency down in Los Angeles. Had an agent. Unfortunately, she passed away years ago. I kind of got away from the writing, and then I'm kind of going back into it full force right now. So I'm querying agents and managers right now, having a couple of
Nice.
conversations, and because you know, you really do need representation to be taken seriously in the
Oh
industry
yeah.
unless you have really strong connections. And so I'm looking for the right manager, not an agent, because it's difference on the agents are dealing more of the business side of it, contracts, things like
Right.
that. Managers are there to work with you to help develop your career, help you be a sounding board on the projects you're doing, and to the point where they will then get it out to their producer friends and studios and connections. So that's
Okay.
the stage I'm at right now.
Excellent. I mean, you have the TV background. How kind of different is that? You said you had an agent before for TV writing. Is
Mhm.
this a little bit similar? Is it kind of just a new frontier for you?
I do like features, and it's the best place in the marketplace right now because everyone will tell you television is in a really sorry state right now for
Mm,
writers. There aren't the big in the old days when you had commitments and you have big writing staffs and all that
right.
employed a lot of writers. These days, the jobs are few and far between, and mainly going to the very experienced writers who are very active and have
Okay.
worked on a lot of the shows. In features, it's more of a level playing field. Proof is on the page. A good script, a good feature, good concept that's fresh and unique and original with a good voice can really stand out. Um, but I did
Excellent.
like my years in television, and that working on Nickelodeon's show was awfully fun.
That's
Uh,
got to be fun.
one of their classic ones.
Totally.
But now, yeah, I'm really enjoying the feature space and plan to continue in it.
That's awesome, man. I think streaming's got to help with the market. I mean, there's a lot of demand for quality cinema coming out of any aspect that it can, any angle.
Yeah, and speaking of streaming, like the sleepover crashers, I would see would probably be a great fit with Disney Plus. Certainly,
Totally.
a number of the studios I know are currently looking at family comedy. So yeah, we'll see if we can get it into the right hands. If that's half the battle.
Right.
First half is having a good product that is just ready for the market. The other side is getting into the right hands to be
Right.
read and make it shine.
Yeah, it can be gold, but if no one sees it, then it's going nowhere. Well,
Exactly.
this is really great insight. I love talking to someone who's kind of experienced in this realm about that kind of stuff. Do you have any other notes or anything to say about sleepover crashers?
No, I could mention did I mention the log
No,
line?
you did not.
Oh,
Please.
let me go. Okay. Basically, it's a nonstop family action comedy about a wacky prison escapee and his wild Latina girlfriend whose plan to rob a house kind of gets more chaotic because they didn't realize that the house has a group of kids having a sleepover who are going to try to capture them for the reward money. So yeah, it's a fun premise, and I'm really glad and appreciate the feedback you gave, and that you liked it, and look forward to beating you in about a week at the festival.
Absolutely, man. Well, yeah, thank you so much for talking with me, man. Sleepover Crashers is great. You can tell from the log line that it's a wild ride, and it literally starts from sentence one, and it does not stop until it's over. And
Yeah,
it was a great read, man. But thank you so much. Thank you for talking with me, and
you
I'm
bet.
looking forward to meeting you and one day watching this film.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks.
Take care, man.